everyone. Happy Wednesday.
Hello.
Welcome to Adobe Live. We are so excited to have Brian Kesinger here, the one and only.
Thank you.
If you don't know Brian, which you should, he works at Disney, and he is also the creator behind Otto and Victoria.
That's right.
Steampunk Adventures.
That's right. I like
So
that.
what are we going to be drawing today?
Well, we are going to draw Otto and Victoria
Awesome.
today, which I thought would be fun. It's certainly my go-to kind of characters to draw whenever I'm like at a loss of
Yep.
what to do, because the octopus is a really fun shape. You'll
Oh,
see
yeah.
when we draw
Oh,
it.
yeah.
It's a nice way to like loosen up.
Yeah, and you got to figure out what all the little tentacles get to
That's
do.
right. That's right. Yes.
Cool. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the chat. We can get started.
Great. Awesome. Well, yeah. So I'm going to be using the new app Fresco, which I really like. I feel like it's like the closest simulation to just grabbing a sketchbook and drawing. It's very streamlined, and you can really just with one button just start drawing, which I really like. Right. So I'll kind of walk you guys through my process a little bit of just how I come about my illustration. And what we do here is cut this layer. So I'm just going to start like noodling and thumbnailing really small. And
Very cool.
yeah.
And while you're doing that, I just wanted to go over our schedule today really quickly. We're going to have Chat and Win today. You have a chance to win $30 gift card to moo.com, which is pretty awesome. And then we are also going to be doing portfolio reviews for the current challenge today, which is remove something from your...
Tomorrow.
Oh, we're not going to do a portfolio review today.
Design feedback.
We're going to do design feedback today with the current challenge. So if you go to Discord, check out current challenge. I believe we need to remove something with Photoshop or Lightroom. So got a jam-packed day.
Yeah, sounds like it.
All right, if you guys have any questions for Brian, please put them in the chat.
Yeah, I love answering questions.
You have an IMDb profile, and if I
do.
remember correctly, you were the voice of what character? Some on Wreck-It Ralph, right?
Yeah, Cyborg.
Cyborg.
Don't mess with the program, Ralph. Yeah, it was fun. I was a story artist on that movie. Actually, a layout artist. And
So what's the difference between a story artist and a layout artist?
layout artist does the backgrounds
Okay.
and camera work, more like a cinematographer, which is kind of cool. And story artists, we do the storyboard, so we work
Okay.
early on doing like the comic book illustrations of the script.
Gotcha. So how did you get to be the voice
Oh.
of Cyborg?
So they bring us on pretty early before they have the actors, and we just do like what they call scratch voices. And sometimes the scratch voices actually stick.
Oh,
And
cool.
in that case, it actually did. So
That's
that
awesome.
was kind of fun.
How was that experience?
Oh, it was a trip.
Oh, yeah.
Especially seeing it because that line made it in the trailer. So the first time the trailer was out, I was at the theater with my family, and my kids were like blown away. They're
Oh,
like,
that's so
"Dad,
cool."
You're a voice. So I was kind of into it, which is nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a few fans in the chat
Oh my
here.
gosh,
We
thank
have
you so
someone.
much.
Marissa Anderson is asking.
Hi, Marissa.
She said she's nerding out so much right now.
Oh,
and then
me
she
too.
said,
Thank you.
what applications do you usually use at Disney?
I use several, and I guess I should point out I'm not at Disney anymore.
Oh, okay.
So I left last year to kind of pursue my own freelance thing, which has been going really well.
That's awesome.
But while I was at Disney, we used Photoshop a lot for boarding, which is great because that's kind of how I learned. I started in the traditional animation, 2D animation, so I worked on paper. So I'm coming late to the digital side of things.
Gotcha.
So Photoshop really helped me get into that space.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and then for layout, we would use Maya and that sort of thing to do our digital layouts.
Very cool. I do want to point out there is a little feedback survey up at the very top. So if you look at the top of the chat, it says, "We need your feedback. Take the Adobe Live viewer survey." So please do that when you get a chance while you're watching Brian.
Yes,
so
please.
I love how you're just like, this is super loose and super rough. Is that how you start all of your? Tell us a little bit about your process. Maybe.
Yeah. So I kind of call this my Ouija drawing
You're way too down.
where I'm just kind of feeling out shapes and proportions and composition.
Okay.
Right? So really not worried about detail or form, but just really what's going on. What's the flow of the piece. I kind of let the drawing tell me what it wants to be.
Oh, very
There's
cool.
a famous, I think it was a Michelangelo quote, where he talks about sculpting. And he would always say that the sculpture is already in the block of marble. And
You
please,
just have to reveal it.
yeah, the chat can inform me if I'm incorrect
Yeah.
as to who that is. But it is a quote that I kind of take to heart when I draw, is that the drawing is already there. You just kind of have to find it. So, and you'll see it starts to solidify. It's almost like a Polaroid coming into being developed.
That's a really great analogy. I really like that.
Yeah. So,
So we have Alexandra is asking, did you pursue any classes or did you learn to work by experience? So tell us maybe a little bit about your background. It sounds like
Yeah.
you're very curious.
yeah, thank you. So I am pretty much self-taught. I had the benefit of having really good teachers in high school that set me on the path for animation and taught me just not how just to be a good artist, but a good coworker and a good teammate, because animation is very collaborative, very, you can't do it alone. So that's something you have to realize is working with others is going to make you a good animation artist. And so with those tools in hand, I was actually able to be hired by Disney when I was 18.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I was the youngest person hired there in
Wow.
animation, and that was on the movie Tarzan. And I attribute it to my great teachers and, of course, my very supportive parents who would drive me all around town to different figure drawing classes during high school and that sort of thing.
Wow,
So,
that's really cool. I feel like, there's a lot of people whose parents kind of dissuade them from being an artist.
yes, yeah.
So it sounds like you were very lucky in that
Very
sense.
fortunate, very fortunate. They're both musicians and music teachers, so they were very much about, you can be an artist, but you have to be an artist that, can have a job. So that was kind of their caveat.
Key point. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So we have someone asking, Catherine is asking what pencil or brush or pen you're using right now.
So I really like using the Kyle Ultimate Pencil Soft.
Cool.
Because when I draw in real life or on paper, I use a 6B pencil, and it's my favorite pencil to use. And so I use this one here, and it feels very natural. It's very fluid, and you can build up. You can see there. Look how
Oh
dark
yeah,
I
that's
can go
really
with
nice.
it. But again, is it 2 fingers? Yeah. You can build it up over time, which helps how I deal with things, my
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's awesome. So we have some people who are asking, what are some of the other movies you've done? Obviously Tarzan.
Yeah, Tarzan was my first
Obviously
one.
you were on Wreck-It Ralph.
Yes, Atlantis was my second one, and that's where I kind of found out about steampunk and how because in layout I was just drawing backgrounds of submarines a lot, and drawing lots of rivets and gears and that sort of thing. So I kind of built up muscle memory there as to what shapes that are kind of common in steampunk.
Right.
And then Treasure Planet after that. And then Chicken Little was the first digital one I worked
cool.
on. And then moving on to Tangled, which was one of my favorites. And then the first movie I storyboarded on was Winnie the Pooh.
Oh my gosh.
And that was really fun. And then moving on to Prep and Landing, which was a series of Christmas specials. And before going on to Frozen 2, which was my last one there.
Gotcha. And is that out or it's coming out?
Next week, I think.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So we have someone asking how you get ideas of what to draw. And I'm also curious, to learn a little bit more about your interest in steampunk, because obviously Otto and Victoria are very much steampunk.
Right.
So it sounds like Atlantis kind of opened your eyes to that, or maybe you were already aware of it, but you got interested.
Yeah, no, I definitely was not aware of it until Atlantis. And I'm like, boy, this stuff looks cool. And I like it because it combines both character drawing and background drawing. Like there's lots of fun props in Steampunk,
Oh, yeah.
which in the layout department, that's all I drew was backgrounds and props, not characters. So Steampunk for me really combines the peanut butter and chocolate of what I like to draw. So
That's awesome. Voodoo Val says, Brian had a hand in basically all my favorites. I'm hyperventilating.
oh my gosh, thank you so much.
People are really, really loving all the...
Yeah, I'm very
hearing all the stuff that you're
grateful.
working.
Very grateful for being able to work on those movies.
Yeah.
And it's it made me the artist I am today. So it was bittersweet stepping away to try to kind of chart my own course, but they were very supportive there and wanted to see me do the best I can do.
Yeah.
So
what was the process of getting put on certain movies at Disney? Do they sort of select you, or do you say, "Hey, I'm interested in this," or what's?
It's funny. They
what's
use
that
a
process?
term. They use a term called baseball trading.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the directors and producers kind of get together and they look at the whole team. You know, there's about it can fluctuate between 400 to 600 people that work at Disney, and they'll go through and kind of pick their teams, and you start to develop relationships with directors, and they know kind of what your superpowers are. So depending on what their movie needs, they'll call you in.
That's cool. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, right. It's very personal, a very personal process, meaning everyone kind of knows each other and knows what their skills are, and you build your team accordingly.
Yeah. So do you find yourself working on projects with a lot of the same people fairly often?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. So someone apparently knows that you're a huge Star Wars fan.
Oh man, yes I am. How do they know that? Yeah, I am a huge Star Wars fan and love everything about it and love drawing it. So yeah, it's definitely a passion that my brother and I share.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So is that something that you just draw for fun, or?
Yeah, I just draw for fun. You know, I love doing fan art.
Yep.
It's like one of my favorite things. And then it's funny because that fan art has led to actual jobs. I'm illustrating a book series for them right now on the droids.
Oh, super cool.
Which is really fun. The first book is out. It's called C-3PO Does Not Like Sand. And he takes after the maker, I guess. And so that's out. And then the second one will be coming out. That's called R2-D2 is Lost.
Those are great titles.
Yeah, they're really fun. And they're written by Caitlin Kennedy, who's a great writer over at Lucasfilm. And they're really fun, like picture books. So
Super cool.
yeah, those are very fun.
So we have someone asking if you prefer traditional or digital drawing.
I prefer traditional drawing if I'm sketching, but I prefer digital if I'm doing color work.
Okay,
Because it
that
gives me
makes
more
sense.
options.
Yeah. So I saw that you just reduced the opacity of
Oh,
the
yeah.
layer, and
So now I'm going to make a new layer because I'm kind of happy with how that's going. So I'm going to go through and start refining these areas a little
Okay.
more. And now that I'm happy with the overall composition, I can go in and start adding volume and getting everything kind of feeling a little more
Gotcha.
solid.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I mean, you've obviously worked with several artists, and you mentioned that, like, in the animation industry, like, you have to be able to work as a team.
Yeah.
Do you find that people tend to work in the same way that you were working, or does everyone sort of have their own?
Everyone
sort of,
has
like,
their
style?
own flow, yeah, which is great because you can. It just has to all kind of fit the same vision at the end. So it doesn't really matter how you get there.
Very cool.
Yeah. So,
There's someone in the chat that said something about a sand joke, Voodoo Val.
Oh,
And
yeah?
I'm not in on sort of the.
Oh, well, it's kind of a meme a little bit that Anakin Skywalker in Attack of the Clones, not to get too deep on you, has this run about not liking sand.
Oh, okay.
Because he's from Tatooine. So it's been kind of taken over.
It's taken over. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've
got
watched
you,
all the Star
Val.
Wars. That's funny. So there's another Star Wars movie coming out soon, yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah, Rise of Skywalker. And yeah, super excited about that one.
Very cool.
Is anyone out there following any of the Baby Yoda stuff? That little character's been taken off like crazy. Lots of memes. All
That's
about
awesome.
memes.
So when you're doing, I know you haven't gotten to this part yet, but when you're doing color,
Yeah.
sort of how do you determine what colors you're going to be?
I
putting
do
in?
them all on separate layers so I can judge on the fly.
Okay.
I'm very non-committal about color. The drawing is the most important part to me because that to me is like where the idea and the charm is. And then I'll go and add the color just as a supplement, but never really as the key thing. You know, I don't consider myself a painter,
Right.
more of a drafts person.
Yeah.
So the joy for me is really in the drawing and this phase, the problem solving. And then I like, the color is just kind of like icing.
Yeah. Well, that kind of ties back directly to steampunk because steampunk really is not about a lot of color, right?
No,
Like,
it's not.
It actually can stand on its own without any sort of color, which is kind of nice.
It's funny. The kind of joke is steampunk is when goths discovered brown. So yeah, a lot of sepia tones. It's actually why Victoria's hair is green because I wanted it to stand out a little bit.
Yeah.
And man, it's been a real treat to like go to conventions and see people cosplaying her.
Oh,
or
that's
seeing
so
people
cool.
like in steampunk with a green wig. It's like, oh my gosh, made a little mark, you know?
Yeah. We have someone asking what's the process of translating your ideas into drawings. And this is very close to the question I was just going to get ready to ask. Was like, how do you come up with characters?
Yeah, just by spending time in my sketchbook, really. Because the drawings kind of come first, and then like I start to see these connections. And so the more time you spend in your sketchbook just doodling for yourself, these characters kind of present themselves. And that's certainly how I come up with mine.
And we have someone else also asking, do you have periods when you just can't draw anymore or need to recharge, or does that never happen?
Yes, I have that, and that's why I have little hobbies like painting miniatures,
Oh, cool.
building little model kits, that sort of thing, to just step away, or playing video games. It's very important to find that balance.
Yeah. So we have Chat and Win coming up in like 11 minutes, which is super fun.
Chat
That's
and
when we'll
Win.
go out, we'll take a little pause, and everyone will put some hype in the chat, and then someone's going to be winning $30 Moo Card gift certificate.
Amazing. What's a Moo Card gift certificate?
So Moo Cards is actually the super cool place where they do business cards. Do you remember like the
Oh,
square
yes.
business cards? I think they kind of pioneered those.
Oh, nice.
So $30, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great.
So we're having two questions. Are you a fan of cyberpunk?
Oh, yeah, not as much.
So how is cyberpunk different from steampunk?
It's a little more in the digital age.
Okay, so kind of
So-
like Blade Runner style?
Yes, definitely Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, that sort of thing. It's more electronics based.
Gotcha.
Steampunk is more Victoriana, turn of the century. It supposes some steampunk workers going on here. It supposes that electricity was never really discovered and that everyone evolved using steam.
Gotcha, yep.
Yeah.
Good history.
Yeah, right?
Loy's asking what iPad you use for drawing.
This is the latest version, which is a 12.9 screen. I forget the terminology of it, but it's the most recent one, and it's fantastic. I had the first generation one, and I loved it, but the improvements they made to the second generation are really incredible and just really nice. I dig it.
Yeah, it is really nice. I have that one too. I actually put a little cover over mine to make it have a little bit more texture.
Oh, nice. And does that work better for you?
You know what? It actually made a huge difference for me.
Awesome.
Like there's something about the slickness of the glass that was
Yes.
hard to get
It's
used
like
to.
drawing on ice.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like once I put that on, it's called what is it called? Paper-like.
Uh-huh,
And
yep.
you can get it on Amazon, but it made the huge difference to me.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, no, I love it. It's been an indispensable tool for me. I've actually, I don't use my Cintiq anymore at home. I just
really?
use this. Yeah, I'm able
Wow.
to do all my illustrations and stuff on here.
Finished?
Yep, finished
Wow.
and go right to the printer.
Wow, that's insane.
So, yeah, it's been a real game changer for me.
Yeah. So Alexander's asking, do you draw everything you want as a freelancer, or do you also challenge yourself to do other drawing styles?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it kind of depends on what the job is, will dictate the style. And that's what's been nice about my time at Disney was I always had to adapt to other styles. So I kind of feel like that's a skill that I've learned. And, you know, if I'm doing a comic book for Marvel or a droids picture book for Star Wars, I can kind of switch up what the style is.
So I have some questions. I had mentioned the paper-like cover for the iPad.
Yeah.
And other people are saying it's helped them a lot. And so someone else is asking, does paper-like affect the pen tip due to more friction? So I haven't noticed it, but I also haven't I've only had it for a couple months.
Oh, okay.
But I just like the little bit of extra drag.
Right.
And Marissa's asking, what is the process for working on animation? It's kind of an open-ended question.
Yeah, there's lots of steps to it for sure. It all kind of starts with the idea, right? And I can speak to how it is at Disney, you know, where a story team will be formed after a director kind of has a basic idea, and we'll sit and we'll explore the story visually. And just kind of doing one-off drawings even like these. And then as the story solidifies, they'll bring a writer on. And that writer will write the script, which then we can storyboard in full before chopping it up into individual shots for animation. So, but depending on, you know, how many, if it's CG or hand-drawn, there's slight variations on departments, but for the most part, it really is, you know, idea first, and then it's the job of each department to take the work that was done before them and plus it.
Gotcha. And Paul's asking how much liberty you can take as a layout artist working from someone else's storyboard. Do you have quite a bit of liberty?
Not so much, no.
Okay.
It's kind of at that point determined. You can add little details here and there, but for the most part, it's really kind of locked in.
So you're sort of like just putting in all the detail
Yes, you're
information?
filling
Okay.
it in and locking it in so that it looks like the same location across multiple shots. But yeah, for the most part, and that's in the hand-drawn sense. Computer, everything's automatically locked in because you're using the same set.
Right.
So it's more about the same sort of camera language that you're using.
Gotcha. This is coming together really quickly.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, slowly but surely.
Quickly but surely.
Yeah, right. More like it, right? Yeah, no, I really, it's fun stuff to draw. And the octopus is so fun to draw because it's hard to draw it wrong.
Yeah.
Because they have no skeleton. So you can kind of do their arms however you want them.
Yeah.
Back over here, I'm going to have him holding the hood
Ooh, nice.
of the vehicle, her little,
It's fixing Victoria's.
yeah, her little helicopter there. He's a very handy octopus.
So we have a couple people who have asked about getting started in animation. Any tips or suggestions?
Yes, definitely find the specific part of animation that speaks to you. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I would just do anything. I'd be happy doing anything," and that never really helps a recruiter and doesn't really help you.
Gotcha.
So really take a moment to research the different departments, because I thought I wanted to be an animator, like most people do, you know. But then I learned about layout, and I'm like, oh, actually, I really like drawing backgrounds. I really like doing prop design. So once I found that, I was able to mold my portfolio specifically to layout. And I think that that's part of a big reason why I got hired, was I had a vision of what I wanted to do, and I was pretty good at it.
What's the approximate turnaround from sort of like the initial concept when the director comes to sort of it getting out into the world? It's got to be a couple of years,
Yeah,
right?
I'd say it's about 4 years.
Wow.
2 years in development, and then 2 years actually making it. So it's a commitment.
And are you involved in that process the whole time, or is it
No,
sort of
it's
like you're 2
staggered.
years and then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it says, Paul is saying, I know folks don't like prop design. Do a lot of people think that they don't like it, or is that a common
I'm not sure.
misconception?
Yeah, I
Okay.
haven't heard that.
Okay.
So now that this layer is done, I'm going to lower it again. that, and create a new layer and refine even more, right?
Oh, wow.
And so now I'm going to use a bit of a sharper pencil so I can get into the details. And for that, I like to use, where is it here? There's a couple ones I can use.
So it looks, okay. It looks like you've imported a few of your own brushes.
Yes, yeah.
Are there some brushes that you just love that you can't live without?
I'm still getting used to them. I actually just downloaded them. So I'm still in the experimental phase. But yeah, there are some great ones out there. So this is a little pixely because I'm super close.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, but that's okay.
Yeah, I love your process of refining. It's very cool.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, from what I've seen, a lot of people just kind of draw on one layer and then they'll kind of go over it and start inking it. But I like your sort of like, let it be loose and messy and kind of crazy and then like refine it from there.
Yeah, exactly. So this I'll kind of experiment too with which pen I actually like to get.
Oh, Kerwin is really sad. Has to go to a meeting. Says hopefully I'll be back before the stream ends. See you, Kerwin.
Sorry, have a good meeting. Thanks for watching.
And Kathleen is pulling out her iPad to draw alongside of you.
Oh, please do, yes.
So I would love to hear, actually, if there are some of you who are drawing alongside Brian. What are you guys drawing?
Yeah, what are you guys up to?
We'd love to hear. And we have a question about what app this is. This is Adobe Fresco. It's the latest dedicated drawing app from Adobe. And even if you're not a subscriber and a CC subscriber, you actually can download and use it for free. You can get a ton. Actually, most of it is free. So
it's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah. Go ahead and download it and tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we do have some steampunk banging in the pipes around here.
That's sound effects.
We have a couple of questions about what size and resolution you like to work at.
For this sort of thing, I'm just using the default screen size.
Okay.
But if I'm doing print stuff, I'll bump it up to like 300 DPI.
Okay.
And that sort of thing. But for these little sketches, it's just screen size is good.
Okay. Cool. So I want to remind everyone that Chat and Win is happening in a minute and a few seconds. So
coming up.
Get ready. Get your hands on that keyboard to chat and win a $30 gift card from moo.com. And I believe that covers everything. It does not cover shipping, unfortunately.
No.
I think I have to say that one. So we have someone who's working on a scorpion.
Nice.
Cecilia said, I'm drawing what he's drawing. So we have someone who's trying to draw the same.
Great.
What else are we drawing? An octopus hat.
Octopus hat. Awesome. Great.
Cool. So we have a question about do you listen to music when you're drawing? Or
all the time. Especially when I'm doing like rough drawings. I make different playlists depending on what the theme of my drawing is. So
cool.
I listen to a lot of movie scores and that sort of thing when I'm drawing. And then when I get more to the refining and the detail phase, a lot of the thought is done. So I'll put movies on in the background and that sort of thing.
Cool.
Help pass the time.
Yeah. So we have Chat and Win in 10 seconds.
Nice.
It's going to be coming up. We'll take a short break. We'll let you guys chat it up. Put your comments. What questions should we ask? What's your favorite thing to draw? That's the
Great.
Chat and Win.
That's a good one. Yeah.
All right, we're back for Chat and Win.
Hello.
We're going to see what people are drawing. We've got a seahorse, designing a chicken menu. That's interesting.
Yeah, specific.
Self-portraits in action, anime. We've got someone drawing Star Wars, cartoons.
Val. Awesome.
Ooh, someone says, as a diver, I really love your idea of using an octopus illustration.
Oh, nice.
Someone's drawing their pets and grandkids.
Awesome.
People drawing people, pizza,
people.
Snakes, pinwheels, portraits from life, dogs.
Awesome.
Got a lot of people drawing animals, squiggly creatures.
Nice.
Looks like a lot of people are getting inspiration from Otto, the octopus.
Yeah, I love that.
Got some dragons.
Ooh, nice. Love dragons.
Yeah, that's a good one. breweries.
Oh, wow.
Sounds like we've got a lot of people. All right. So we have a winner. Storks Know Better.
Yay!
As a congratulations.
Yay!
You get
Awesome.
a $30 Move Card gift certificate. And I believe everyone else who didn't win, there's a link for 15% off, I believe, on the screen. Go to moo.com/Adobe Live, and you can get 15% off your order there, which is pretty good, too. I think everyone wins that way.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So it sounds like Storks Know Better was drawing furniture.
Oh, nice.
So someone in the chat is a graphic designer, and they want to know what's a good way to get better at drawing?
It's a boring answer, but it's the right answer. It's drawing every day. And just having the discipline to do it. One exercise that I really like is taking an everyday object each day and drawing it from 6 different angles.
Oh.
Because then you start to learn about volume, making things solid, everything has a thickness, and you start to really develop those muscles for drawing really solid.
That's a really good tip. So taking an everyday object and drawing it from six
Yes.
different angles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also seen a lot of people, they'll take one object and they'll draw it in like 6 different styles, which is kind of a similar thing as well, I think. Yeah, we have a lot of people say that I draw every day. Sometimes it's boring things, but I practice all the time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So another great question. Man, we've got a lot of great questions today.
Yeah, great
So
stuff.
any tips on finding your style?
That's a very good question. I think that comes over time. I don't think it's something you can actually do. I think that, we're all influenced by the stuff that we see around us. And you have to just kind of let that sort of thing develop. I don't think having your own style doesn't necessarily make you a better artist. So I would focus more on just your skills and then let the style come second.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. People are wanting to know more about your background. How old were you when you started drawing? We went over this a little bit. You said your parents were driving you around to figure drawing classes.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about sort of how you got into it. You said your family was musicians.
Yeah, and I really remember in 2nd grade, specifically at open house, my teacher pulling my parents aside and saying, I think he's really onto something. I think he's got some skills. You should encourage it. And so they did. And, I grew up in Orange County, right in the shadow of the Matterhorn. So my best friend and I in high school would go to Disneyland, after school, and we'd bring our sketchbooks and just draw. And we would draw people, we would draw the buildings, and it was just a way for us to kind of hang out in a place that we liked and build our skills. So those early years of just hitting it pretty hard, but doing it because it was fun, really helped.
Man, that's super cool, just being able to go to Disneyland after school and draw. That's cool.
We were very lucky, living super close, and back then annual passes weren't as expensive as they are now.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was really good, and I dug it.
Yeah.
So you can see I'm using a little thicker kind of line to get more of this kind of comic book look to it. Again, it's still pretty loose. Oops. But it's, this way. Oh, good. I didn't like the shadow anyway. Still pretty loose, but because I did all that rough drawing before, it still feels pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely. Wendell says, I'm a photographer and I can't draw, but I stopped to watch because I love this this session so much.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
So we've got photographers even watching.
Yeah, great.
Sienna's asking, do you ever go to the zoo and draw, or did you ever go to the zoo
Yes,
and draw?
definitely. I live close to the LA Zoo now, and I don't go as much as I used to, but yeah, that's really important. The figure drawing and animal drawing is really what's going to help make you succeed as an artist and certainly as an animation artist.
Yeah. So how would you, with animals, they're always moving. Do you have any tips for sort of drawing quickly or
Yeah, well, that's
figure drawing is the person who's modeling or posing, they typically won't stay in the same position the whole time.
That's right. So that's kind of the skill, and that's why you have to do it. You have to be able to like look at an animal really quick and know like, okay, this is the proportion of the horse, and I think something that people need to realize is a drawing like this in a portfolio is going to go so much farther than a drawing where someone is really drawing all the details of the horse.
Right.
Like we want to see what your quick thinking is, and what how you can perceive stuff in motion.
Yeah.
So always keep it loose. Your portfolio shouldn't just be finished paintings.
Right. Yeah, I remember
drawings.
I mean, my background is graphic design, but obviously we had to do figure drawing, and we would have like 1 minute sessions, 5 minute session. They sort of you start off with a longer one and then you get faster, or start off with a short one and get longer and longer.
Yeah.
Someone's asking if you worked with Aaron Blaas.
Oh, yes, we worked.
Did I pronounce his last name right? Blaze.
Yeah, we worked on some of the same movies together.
Okay.
But he was in the animation department.
Gotcha.
He's an amazing artist.
Yeah.
Has an amazing channel and does brilliant animal drawings.
Yeah.
Really nice stuff.
Very cool. So someone's asking if you ever use an eraser. I don't think I've seen you use it yet.
Oh, yeah. I try not to because then it just makes things a little too stiff. Again, I try to keep the life in these drawings. If I was doing a more finished final piece, I certainly would be using the eraser more. But for this, it's more just about the energy level. And keeping
there is a lot of energy and movement in it. And I think to me, it's because there's so many different sort of like lines. I think some of, you can have movement and something be really refined. But I think the easiest way to show movement in a drawing is just sort of keep it loose.
That's right.
Like you mentioned, that horse that you drew in like 10 seconds. Like you could tell that there was a lot of movement in it.
Yes,
which is cool.
And that's something that you get over time. Yeah. You can develop that shorthand over time, which is good.
So someone is also asking, is it important to learn to draw in order to be a good designer? And I would say, I'd love to hear your thoughts, Brian. I think drawing is the fundamental part of
I was just
any sort of creative field. Like you have to, if you're doing UX design, you have to be able to sort of sketch wireframes. If you're doing graphic design, it's always good to be able to sort of sketch logo variations really quickly.
Yeah, no, drawing is key. Because when all the tools are stripped away at the end of the day, if you can communicate an idea just by drawing it with a pen on a piece of paper, then you're in a good spot.
Yep. So what is the most difficult task you've had to do in your career so far? Like what's one of the most difficult things?
I would say Tarzan, just because it was my first one, and there was a lot of pressure, right? To like, oh man, can I do this? And there were so many leaves to draw. It was all jungle backgrounds. So that was certainly the hardest.
Yeah, how was that being the youngest person to be hired?
It was interesting, but I was able to, because again, my teachers taught us how to be good professionals. So I was able to really kind of just slip right in under the radar and treat it as school.
Yeah.
Like that I was going to university, so it worked out well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of cool. I'm looking up here on the stream, and we have like Otto facing one way, and in our background we have him facing the other.
Yeah, right. That's so funny.
It's like an Otto face-off.
The little Otto gets around. Let's see. Let's start adding some color.
Yeah.
I'm going to use the watercolor brush on this because I love the watercolor brush. It's so cool. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, you're in for a treat. So I'm going to create a new layer. And I'm going to make this really feel like a sketch. So I'm not going to delete any of my rough layers, but I'm going to put my watercolor underneath and just use it to supplement. And you'll see what I'm talking about here. So if I go here to it's this one here, the wet brushes, right here. You have these watercolor brushes, and trip out on these. These are pretty cool. Water wash. Yeah, this one. So now I'm going to go and pick a color, give this vehicle like a nice brassy color.
Cool. Yeah, how have you gotten really good at sort of like selecting steampunk colors? Because they're kind of just, they're muted,
Yes.
more brown.
Yeah, no, I have. I kind of have my own internal color palette that I like to use. But you can see, because I put so much time into the drawing, the coloring can be a lot easier and flatter.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. I love how the sketches below are just showing through.
Yeah, it gives it that feel. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was gonna say it helps tie into the feeling of the drawing.
Yeah. Makes it feel like it's something more in a sketchbook.
Yeah. Yeah, so for those of you who haven't used the live brushes in Fresco, they're pretty cool. There's watercolor brushes, and there's also oil brushes. And the watercolors, it's a little bit hard to tell. Well, you can tell right there. They sort of just like bleed, just like they would in the real world. And you can adjust the amount of water that you put on your brush. There's two little drops down there at the bottom of your toolbar, and you can see how you can add more or less water.
Right, so the really less water will make it a little more solid, and then more water will give it that flow.
Yeah. And one little insider tip is there's a little circle on your screen down in the left corner, and if you hold down on that, or if you double tap it to turn it on, when you're on the watercolor brush, you would add just water.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. So I'm pulling the color just like you would be. That's fantastic.
And the same with oils. If you turn that on when you're on the oils, you get a dry brush. So for those of you who are familiar with oil painting, you take a dry brush and you sort of run it through, and it's a good way to sort of blend different sections together.
Oh, that's so great. So we'll go in and I do a lot of traditional watercolor work.
Oh, cool.
And I really like it. And so, there's just certain things where, watercolor is more about what you don't paint than what you do. It's the areas that you leave open that kind of indicate the lighting. And this tool totally replicates that.
How is it different going back and forth? I mean, there obviously are differences when you go between digital and traditional media, but what were some of the things that you had to get used to from the digital perspective, having done a lot of watercolor with traditional media?
Actually, it's been nice. There hasn't been any problems because it's so much cleaner, and it has undo, and you can do stuff like this, like erase, which you can't do. So it's been more beneficial than a hindrance. Yeah, I have to say.
I just want to make a call out. This is the very first time that Brian has used the eraser.
Oh yeah, there you go. Right, that's right.
For those of you who are asking earlier.
For those of you scoring at home.
Alexander is wondering if you put shadow and lightings on the same layer typically.
No, I do a lot of different layers. Like my finished illustrations will usually have, easily like 50 layers.
Oh, wow.
And none of them are labeled, so don't hate me.
I feel there's like camps of people who label everything, and then there's camps of people who just like can't be bothered.
Right.
I would say I was on the side of things where I never named layers until I started way back when working in web design, when we would design websites in Photoshop.
Yes, right.
And if you didn't name your layers and you handed it off to the engineering team, man, they would get so mad.
They would come at you. Totally. Let's see.
We have several people who are saying that this is a super meditative stream to watch.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've had people say that my live streams are like the Bob Ross of the internet. So yeah, that's me. Kind of mellow.
Heidi has an interesting question. Is remote work hard to come by in animation?
Yes. Storyboard is probably the easiest one because there's more freelance storyboard gigs. But a lot of times they want you to be in-house for the other departments.
Gotcha. That makes sense because you mentioned before it's so collaborative.
Yeah, there's so much collaboration going on that you kind of need to be on the floor.
Yeah. Someone called you Brian Ross.
I like that.
So you mentioned earlier about how collaborative animation is. Are you sending files back and forth between, like, is there typically like one storyboard artist, one layout artist, or are there multiple?
There's multiple. There's like teams.
Yeah.
And they all kind of work together. And there's a whole nother side of production management, right? So the team of people who work there to help coordinate that flow of files between artists. So it's usually about 10 or 20 artists per team, but the animation department can kind of blow up towards the end when they're in crunch, and sometimes it can be up to like 80 animators.
Oh my gosh.
On a movie. So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you manage the files that way? I mean, it just seems like
the whole IT department there is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of proprietary stuff, as well as off-the-shelf stuff. So now I'm going to lower my water to get a little more detail.
This is great. Oh, super cool.
Super satisfying to watch, right?
Yeah. So are you drawing on one of the sketching layers?
No, I'm coloring on its own layer.
Oh, okay.
So
I guess it's just kind of bleeding.
Yeah, it's kind of bleeding through.
Yeah.
Which is cool because it gives it that organic feel. I'm, again, not too worried about the cleanliness of it. I'll clean it up a little bit, but for the most part, it's going to feel nice and loose.
Very cool.
Lots of happy accidents, right?
Yeah. Des is asking, are there many changes that take place during storyboarding, and how do you work with
Lots
that?
of changes. I would say that's when the story is the most fluid. Yeah, you kind of have to, that's something you learn really quick.
Yeah.
As being a story artist is being adaptable. And those who aren't don't last in story very long.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So yeah, lots of changes.
Yeah. Jimmy's asking, what do you think of the way Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse handled their animation style?
Oh, incredible, right?
Because it was a mashup, right?
It was mostly CG, but they just chose to like render it differently. That's why I think what was so refreshing is CG doesn't have to be photoreal.
Right.
And Spider-Verse was kind of the first movie to embrace it. So I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I saw someone mention character animator earlier on the live stream, and right before we stopped, I was just telling, or right before we started, rather, I was telling Brian that I took a character animator file that has everything broken out into different types of groups, and you have to have, the eyes and the eyeball in separate groups, and you have to, do all this stuff and name it correctly.
Right.
And I took it into Fresco. I imported the blank PSD into Fresco, and I made a little Brooke character.
Amazing.
Yesterday. Unfortunately, I did a few things wrong because my eye was kind of like randomly blinking.
That's so funny.
But it's super fun to sort of like work back and forth between things like that.
Yeah, for sure, right? Okay, so I want to add some more water.
So is Otto always purple?
Yes,
Okay.
because I wanted to kind of distinguish him from the red that you always see, because red kind of seemed like an angry character.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, purple's kind of pleasing.
It is really nice. And it's a nice sort of lavender.
Yeah,
purple.
right. And I'm glad I did, because when Finding Dory came out and they had an octopus character,
Yeah.
he was more the traditional red. So you can see how fast the coloring is actually going, right?
Yeah.
Compared to everything else.
Yeah, it's going super fast. For those of you who are doing the design challenge, Brian and I are going to be reviewing in about 40 minutes.
Awesome.
So go ahead and post your stuff to the current challenge on Discord, and we will review. We'll go through everything.
And what is the current challenge?
I believe it's remove something using Photoshop or Lightroom.
Oh, nice.
Remove something from the photo.
Great.
So I'm cheating, and I'm taking a little sneak peek, and we got some cool stuff
Oh, I got
here.
some cool entries?
Yeah,
awesome. Can't wait to see those. I love seeing other people's work.
Yeah.
Really inspires me.
I'm curious, do you know Pascal Campion?
I know of him.
Okay.
I don't know him personally, but
Gotcha.
he did one of these recently too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he was, when we were first developing Fresco, we selected about 10 different artists to sort of
Awesome.
see how they could break it, basically.
Yeah, right.
and make it better before we put it out in the world, and he was one of those people.
Oh, awesome.
People were talking about Klaus on Netflix.
That
and I
movie
guess
is
he worked
so
on
good.
it. Yeah.
So good.
So Alexander's asking, how do you feel like color plays into the significance of a movie, or how do you think color plays into things?
It's a whole nother language, right? Like it's a whole nother layer of storytelling. And they'll do things called color scripts,
Oh,
which
really?
is where they will break down the movie sequence by sequence and script out what colors are used specifically to support the emotion that's going on. So
The mood and
Yep,
everything. I mean,
yep.
like, I'm really familiar with how mood can affect sort of like time of day, right? Or
Right,
like
right, yeah.
color can affect time of day. I know Pascal, I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but he uses
yeah.
light really well.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He'll take the same drawing, and based on how he colors it, it can feel like morning or evening, or
yeah, it's
pretty
incredible.
cool. Yeah.
Incredible.
We're getting a lot of name dropping. Paul is asking if you've ever worked with Phil Dimitriadis.
The name does somewhat sound familiar, but I don't remember.
Yeah. Thank you, Voodoo Val, for posting the challenge. For those of you who want to follow along, the link is behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. And we're going to be reviewing your submissions in about 37 minutes.
Not to be specific.
Not to be specific. 37 minutes and 53 seconds.
You're right. So funny.
Voodoo Val also said Nathan Fox did a lot of color experiments for DreamWorks.
Yeah, Nathan Fox. I took a class with him, and he's incredible.
Is he based in New York? Or
Am
am I thinking of something else? Maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
Maybe. I think he is in LA.
Okay.
Hard to tell these days.
Yeah.
I'd love to know where everyone's watching from.
Ooh, that's a good one. Hit us up. Let us know where you're watching from,
Yeah.
where you live. It's always super fun to see. I've been on streams before where people are like up super late at night.
Yes, right.
They're on a deadline and they need something on in the background.
Yeah, right.
So what sort of, you said you'll listen to film scores while you're drawing, and then
Yes.
you'll also watch movies?
So like,
any particular type of movie you like
yeah,
to
like
watch?
I like kind of like longer movies that can just go on in the background that I'm like super familiar with, like the Godfather movies are really good background. Early Spielberg movies,
Cool.
Jaws, Close Encounters, that sort of thing, and of course Star Wars.
Yeah.
Those are usually my go-to background movies.
We've got people from Iowa, Texas, Huntington Beach, Sacramento, Indianapolis, New
Wow,
Zealand,
wow.
Austin, Texas, Ontario, Canada, Portugal, Montana, Riverside County,
Riverside.
Brazil, Denver, California. We've got people
Incredible.
from everywhere. This
Wow.
is awesome.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for watching.
A couple more Portugal and Montreal, Canada representations.
Amazing.
All over the place.
So great. So cool. I'm kind of done blocking in all my big colors, and I'm really liking like how everything's kind of bleeding together. And so now I'm going to go through and just pick out some highlights before I go and do the shadows. And here I am using the eraser to get that kind of watercolor look.
Now, when you're doing traditional watercolor, will you go in and sort of like, I know there's some techniques where you can sort of like remove some of the color.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I've seen someone before, they actually would take like a white colored pencil and go in on top to do
Yeah,
the
you can do
highlights.
that. Or they have a thing that's you paint on top before you watercolor, and it protects the area that you don't want watercolored.
Yeah.
And then you peel it off, and that's
Yep.
like super satisfying to
Yeah.
watch. But no, if I'm doing traditional, I try to just, again, less is more, and let it be what it's going
Right.
to be.
Yeah.
So here, doing it this way, I'm definitely cheating, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I like that. If you were not with us at the beginning of the stream, Brian mentioned that he kind of sort of just like lets the drawing, he sort of like finds the drawing. I forget how he said it. You said it really, really well. You
Yeah.
said,
I let the drawing tell me what it wants
yeah,
to be.
let the drawing tell you what it wants to be.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
So now check this out. I'm going to merge my two sketch layers. Merge down.
Wow, we have someone watching from Russia.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Lots of people from your area.
Yay.
Riverside.
That's right. SoCal represent. I probably won't do any background design. Sorry, I just saw that comment. I will show you a little bit of like how I construct and do perspective, because I'm almost done with
that'd be
this,
very
and
cool.
this is going a lot quicker than I thought it would. So
No, that's awesome.
we can open it up, and if you guys want to tell me what you'd like to see me draw, I do take requests.
We're taking requests.
Yeah, right.
Kind of back to the
request line
days where
is
you
open.
like call into the radio station
Yeah,
and
that's
request
right.
your favorite
That's right.
song.
And so let's see here, but we're going to keep coloring it. Oh, excuse me. So I combined both my sketch layers because what I'm going to do is actually erase, again, erasing time, into the areas where I do want to be highlighted so that it really pops as shiny, right? And that just allows it to kind of clean up. And I'm not getting rid of all of it, but just more of the excess, right? And then
Very cool.
starts to define the shapes a little more.
Nice. People are still calling in. Got a lot of people watching from Southern California.
Awesome.
Burbank, downtown Burbank.
Burbank, yay.
Norway.
Wait, did I see Sienna Spencer on there? Awesome. That's my good friend, my best friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So we have a few people asking about your books and where they can get them.
Oh, yeah. The best place if you want to support the artist is to buy them through my website.
Which is?
Which is brightest.com. And that's where you can get them. You can get them signed, that sort of thing. But if you're looking for a pinch, you can find them in Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all those places.
Gotcha. Great. So we've got a request for an auto body shop
Oh,
for
okay.
drawing.
Cool,
Lots
cool.
of gadgets.
Yeah,
Going back
that's
to
cool.
the steampunk.
Also
Oh,
from
awesome. Thank you, Adam, for following Brian on Instagram.
Oh, yay. Thank you. Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, there's Sienna. Her and I go way back to high
really?
school. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
And you mentioned the zoo, the LA Zoo. That's where I would go and draw. And Sienna works there now. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, it's come full circle.
Oh, I think she actually mentioned that. I saw someone said
did
that you
she?
ever draw at the
That's
zoo. And I
funny.
think that was maybe her.
Yeah, yeah,
Very cool.
yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you, Voodoo Val, for posting Brian's website.
Oh, thank you, thank
Support
you.
the artist.
That's right.
And for those of you who also joined late, there is a survey link up at the very top of the chat pod. Adobe Live wants your feedback. So please take that survey. If you would, pretty please.
Yes, please. And now I'm going to go back to my color layer. And there's a really other cool watercolor brush that I like. And it's called the Watercolor Wet Spatter. And
Yeah.
it gives like some cool texture. So I'm going to go like with a darker brown. And I'm going to add a little bit. Wait, is water flow? So that's no water,
Yeah,
right?
it's not no water. It's just like very, very, little water.
And
yeah.
this is like a lot, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I want it to be somewhat dense and opaque.
Yeah. And I found too that like sometimes when you're
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
when you put the water up too high, it like I actually don't like the water all the way up.
Yeah,
top.
me either.
It's sort of like it's just like kind of messy.
More in the mid round.
Yeah.
But there's also a thing where you can do, and you click on the layer and you hit dry layer.
Yeah.
So this simulates when you're doing watercolor and you finished your washes and you just let it sit and let it dry, or sometimes use a hair dryer. But this now, as soon as you go here and draw, it's not going to bleed into the colors. That's kind of subtle, isn't it? Let me bump this up. It's not going to bleed into the wash like we had before.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I really like the spatters.
Yeah, it just adds that little bit of texture.
Yeah. So we have a couple people asking about getting books published, or what's the process?
Yeah. So it's been an interesting process, a new one for me, because I worked with a publisher out of North Hollywood, and the company's name is Baby Tattoo, which is a funny
awesome.
company name. And they publish a lot of art books.
Okay.
And so I got a meeting with him through a mutual friend and just showed him my work. I showed him a bunch of loose leaf Otto and Victoria books. And he's like, oh yeah, I think we can make something of it. But because he was a small publisher, I was able to have a lot of say in the creative of it.
That's really nice.
Yeah, so it's been a great partnership.
Yeah.
So all my original property books go through him, and that's Bob Self, and he's been a great collaborator.
That's awesome.
And then that sort of thing. What's nice about doing your own books first is it's a great way to go into meetings for other publishers or other opportunities.
Yep.
And just slide your book across and say, I can do this, you
Right.
know? So that's one thing I recommend is to, just start doing it. It's so much easier. And self-publishing is so much easier now.
It's much easier today. I mean, you
Yeah.
can self-publish on Amazon. There's multiple different websites where
That's right.
self-publishing can happen.
Yeah, that's right. So I would say, like with everything, just do it. There's nothing really stopping you. So that's how I got started into it.
Very cool. Jimmy Mitchell says, super random. Your drawing of Nick Nolte's character in The Mandalorian popped up on my Instagram feed earlier this morning. Had no idea it was you, and now I'm here. It was fate.
Incredible. Yes, the stars have destined it. Yeah, thank you. That's really fun. I'm really digging that show on Disney Plus right now. And boy, I did a drawing yesterday. It's a bit of a spoiler drawing, but ended up getting like 20,000 likes.
Oh my gosh.
In
that's
like
insane.
15 hours.
Wow.
So it blew up a little bit, which is always super exciting.
Yeah.
Just to see those numbers go up,
Wow.
So thank you.
Someone is asking about a password to the storyboard section of your website. I'm assuming there's a reason it's password protected.
Yeah. Sorry. Unless you're a recruiter, I can't give that password out. But I do hope to make some of those more public on my website soon. But right now it's kind of like NDA stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And then we have another question about if you're going to do a background for this piece.
No, I'm probably just going to do a color block.
Okay.
Again, to give it that watercolor sketch feel. And also, if you look at a lot of my illustrations in the book, the backgrounds are very secondary, if non-existent at all. So I really like putting the characters in the forefront.
Nice.
So I will do a new layer, and then with that big wash brush.
Cool. Curious if there's any other questions for Brian. This has been it's been great to sort of like hear all about your background and all the cool questions that people are asking.
Yeah, you guys are asking really great stuff. And I am here to answer. I'm still on the splatter. But yeah, I really do love this program because
That's awesome.
You can.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions about Fresco,
yeah, right.
I'm your go-to. I'm the lead designer for the app, so I can answer whatever you have.
Well, great
whatever
work.
questions you have.
That's awesome.
I can't take credit for it. I've got a great team of engineers behind.
Yeah, how many people?
It, and a few other designers.
How many people do you think work on?
I don't know the exact number of engineers. I would say probably like 30 to 40.
Wow.
And it's me and 2 other designers.
Amazing.
So we're a pretty small but scrappy group.
Yeah, I should say. Amazing.
Voodoo Val's asking where else you live stream.
Usually through my Instagram account.
Cool.
So I just look for that notification that I've started something live. I usually do them at night after the family's asleep. And I can just hang out and chat and do this sort of thing on there.
Very cool. Thank you, Singham, for taking the survey.
Oh, thank you.
Ryan is asking about a 2-finger slide back for undo. Sorry, Ryan, probably not. We had that in Sketch and Draw. Some of the people on the chat are used to Sketch and Draw, and there was a sort of a 2-finger swipe gesture.
Oh, I see, as opposed to
undo,
just the tap.
Yeah.
Right.
And deleting imported brushes will be coming, Paul, very soon. We know that you definitely want to delete imported brushes. Sometimes you want to clean it up a little bit.
Clean out that toolbox.
Brian, we've got another great question for you.
Yes.
Do you do any classes or courses near Riverside?
No. Occasionally, I will do talks and this sort of thing, but nothing structured yet. I hope to eventually, because like I say, I come from a family of teachers.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy sharing the knowledge. It's just more about the time commitment. It's something I'd really want to spend the time putting the curriculum together and making it worth people's while. So
that totally makes sense.
TBD.
So do you have a list of places where people can maybe see you talk, or is that something that you put on Instagram, or do you let people know on Twitter?
I let
what's
people
your
know.
method? Okay.
Yeah, usually all social media. You can follow Brian Kesinger on like pretty much any platform.
Cool.
And I'm pretty good about posting everything there.
Nice.
As
You're Brian Kesinger kind of everywhere?
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. I'm going to answer a couple of Fresco questions here.
Yeah.
People are asking brushes as eraser in the tool. There are a huge set of brushes coming.
Oh, yes. I was wondering about that too.
A huge set of erasers coming.
Great.
In February, actually. We have another release happening very soon within the next couple of weeks, and then having a little holiday break, and then there's going to be more releases coming. But as I mentioned earlier, if you're having trouble, you're holding down on the touch shortcut, which is that little circle down in the left-hand corner, you can double tap it, and that toggles it on, and then you don't have to worry about keeping your finger there, because I know that can be really annoying.
And what does that do when you're...
So if you double tap it, it toggles it on, and any brush that you're using, it will allow you to use that as an eraser.
Oh,
right
really?
away. So you don't have to go to the eraser tool.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's handy.
Yeah.
So if I double tap it... Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Awesome.
And just deleting brushes, sing them. Deleting brushes is coming, so just hold tight. It's hard because it's this is the very early stages of the product, and so we have so much more stuff that we are going to be adding to it, and it's just a matter of time. So thank you everyone who's been using it and enjoying it.
Yeah, and the fundamentals are definitely there, you know?
And Paul, clipping masks are coming, so don't worry. Right now we only have layer masks in, but clipping masks are super important. So I noticed your color picker just popped open. And that's probably because you accidentally double tapped.
Oh, double tapped. Oh yeah, look at that.
And so you can actually change that if you go to settings.
Is that where you change that?
You can change, go down to app settings.
App settings.
Mm-hmm. If you, let's see, double tap. If you tap that drop down, you can set it
to eraser, which is what I like.
Yeah, or you can have it do nothing, because that's actually what I have it set to, because sometimes I accidentally trigger the double taps. Right? But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different options there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's really great. So I'm creating a new layer now, and I am going to cheat even more and do a shadow layer through here. And what I like to do is set it to multiply, which you can do up here, correct?
No? One down.
Settings, that's right. And you set your blend mode to multiply.
Yep.
And then I lower the opacity. And then the color I like to do shadows with is like a dull blue. Never use grays or blacks for shadows.
And why is that?
It kills the vibrancy of the color. I know on Aladdin, when they were making the original Aladdin, the art director hid all the black paint in the studio and said no one's allowed to paint with black for this movie, and it's why I think it's one of the most visually rich movies out of all of them, is because if you start to use colors that are a little more complementary as your shadow, then it just keeps the vibrancy up. And what's nice about being multiply is it will change kind of its color depending on what surface you're on.
It does. It kind of takes on sort of the what's underneath it or what's above it.
Right. And so even now that's a little too strong, so I'm going to just bring it back a little bit.
Nice. So we're asking, there's a question about how often you tend to live stream.
In October, I do it a lot for Inktober. And then I'd say it's at least once a month that I do it, sometimes more.
Cool.
Depends if I'm doing commissions or not.
And do you save do the live stream, I'm trying to remember, do live streams automatically save or?
No, they go away.
Yeah.
So they're kind of fleeting, but it's where I have the most amount of followers. So it seems like I'm about to hit 250,000. 250,000
Oh my gosh.
on Instagram. And so it's crazy. Yeah, it's nuts. Thank you, Lil Kylo.
Yeah.
So it's where most of my audience is, so I tend to do it there.
Yeah,
I tried to do some on YouTube, but it's just I don't have the followers there yet.
Yeah.
So I get the most bang out of the buck out of Instagram.
Yeah. And then I just want to make one more plug. Thank you for everyone who's already filled out the survey. There's a survey link up at the top of the chat. Please fill it out. It will give us feedback on what we need to, what you love, and what we what we can change. And as a bonus, you will be entered, if you complete the survey, you'll be entered for a chance to win a year of Creative Cloud.
Whoa, that's
which
good.
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good question. What is your favorite earliest work that you have done?
Oh, wow. That's a very good question.
The question was for both of us. I don't know that it's my favorite work, but fun fact, the team that made Fresco, a lot of them were the engineering team. They were the original engineers on Illustrator.
Really?
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Illustrator, which is crazy.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so we were talking about gradient mesh. I don't know how familiar you are
I'm
with
not,
Illustrator.
no.
But gradient mesh is like this crazy tool that allows you to sort of like add a gradient to something and then you can sort of like warp it around. And I dug up one of my first projects in Illustrator where I illustrated this, it was like an Ames chair using gradient mesh, and I showed it to him. But it was pretty fun just to be able to say, oh, this is the person that worked on this feature.
Oh my
gosh. This is the person that worked on this feature.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's
Any favorite early works, Brian?
Yeah, I'd have to, again, and I know I've said it a couple times, but Tarzan, just because it was my first one. And I remember because I grew up around the LA area, I would always see the Disney Animation Building from the outside.
Oh, yeah.
Right, but could never go in.
The
It's got Mickey's hat.
It's so cool.
Yeah, look it up. It's pretty neat. But I'd always see it from the outside, never the inside. And it was always a little bit like Wonka's factory to me, you know? And then that first day I got to go in, it was pretty moving. And I remember they gave me my ID card, which allows you access into the building. And they're like, yeah, you can use this anytime you want to come in. And I'm like, anytime? You mean I can come anytime I want? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, so if I wanted to come in at 2 a.m. on a Saturday, I could come in? And they're like, we don't know why, but yes, you could. And so lots of memories like that on Tarzan. In fact, my first scene that I got to lay out was for Glenn Keane, who's a very famous Disney animator. Animated Ariel and the Beast and Aladdin, like kind of legend status. And I was 18 years old, and I think they did this as a prank, but they had me lay out his scene. And part of a layout artist's job is to tell the animator where the character goes. So I had to tell Glenn Keane where to animate Tarzan.
Did that make you nervous at all, or was that
big
exciting?
time. Big time. Yeah, so cool. Now that my shadows are done, I'm going to use that filter you mentioned where, what was it, to just add water? So I have my water brush.
When you're on the watercolor, you can just double tap that.
Great.
And now
so
you're just adding water.
With this is so cool, you guys. This is like Matrix level stuff. So I've used a normal ink brush to do these shadows.
Oh, here it's, when you're panning the canvas, it's constrained. Now, now you can double tap it back on.
I can double tap it.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to use the watercolor brush, this one, to kind of just add the water.
Very cool.
And
And you can see when you're putting your pen down up in the right corner, it says pure water. So it kind of
is
a little tip to let you know what's happening.
And octopuses love pure water.
Yeah.
So. Although Otto is a giant Atlantic land octopus.
Land octopus?
Yes, he is a very rare breed that can actually live above water. So.
Ooh, nice. Okay, we've got a really cool request.
Oh, yes.
Maritza says, I love your work. My son is 10 and loves to draw. Is there any advice you might give him? He's actually listening right now.
Great. Hello to him. Awesome. Well, it's so nice. I'm so glad both of you are watching. Is there any advice? Yes. So for a 10-year-old, I'd say just draw what you like to draw. Don't worry about how you draw it. Don't worry about what kind of tools you use. Just draw what you love, and everything else will follow.
Oh, that's great advice. That's awesome.
That's why I tell my kids. I have 11 and 13-year-olds. And shout out to my amazing wife, who is also an artist, Jenny. I'm not sure if she's working or watching, because I'm sure she's working. Yeah, we met at Disney, my wife and I.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, we met on Chicken Little and a little Disney romance. But we were always hoping our kids would get into art. but we never forced them into it.
Right.
Right? We just kind of made sure that they had access to the stuff. And I'm proud to say that now, they really do enjoy.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, doing drawing and all of that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like all kids are born loving to draw.
That's
like,
right.
Like I have a 1-year-old daughter and I gave her, I bought some, like the really thick crayons for her.
Yes, yeah.
Like a few months ago and I was teaching her how to do it and now she just like gets so excited whenever I pull out the crayons.
Oh, it's so nice.
I think just, just encouraging that and keeping encouraging that because I think a lot of us reach a point, or a lot of people reach a point where they look at like, oh, Brian's drawing is like way better than anything I could ever do. I don't know if I should, but I think encouraging that is so important.
And you should only judge yourself against your own art, not against others.
Yeah.
There's a great essay that a director I worked with named Steve Anderson wrote. And I don't even know if it's an essay more than just a post, but he talks just about how you need to only judge yourself against your previous work.
Yeah.
And if you see improvement, then that's all that matters.
Totally.
So, just, be inspired by others, but don't be constrained by others.
That's really great advice. And Maritza said, "Thank you. My son is all smiles out right now. You made his day."
Yay. Awesome. Thank you.
And also just one last plug for design feedback. Brian and I are going to be going through the current challenge, which someone put a link up. I forget what it was, but I believe you just posted to Discord to the current challenge thread, and the challenge is to remove something from a photo using Lightroom or Photoshop, which is super easy because there's content-aware fill.
Oh, the content-aware stuff is crazy.
There's this select and replace. There's pretty nuts. Mm-hmm. So someone was also asking about your wife's art. Is there somewhere where they can see that?
She does a lot of like felted wool now stuff.
Oh, cool.
She was a CG artist, so she's more of a sculptor, and so she has she doesn't keep it updated as much. But if you want to look up "Pop Goes the Wool,"
Pop Goes the Wool. That's fun.
That's where she does. She did a phase 2 where she did those really amazing cakes, sculptural cakes. She did an incredible cake of Rapunzel's Tower from Tangled.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
It's insane. So I think you can see that on there.
Oh, that's so cool.
But, she takes care of the kids and she runs our business now. So
cool.
She runs any interaction.
Partners in crime.
Yeah, exactly. Any interactions you have on my website, it's probably Jenny doing it. So she's really taken it on and I can't do any of this without her. So
that's cool. Sienna said, "Don't forget Jenny's amazing cakes."
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Sienna knows. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's kind of fun. And on Bolt, because I worked on Bolt long enough that both our kids were born during it.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so they give credits to the production babies at the end. So the credits for Bolt, all 4 of us have a credit because Jenny was still working on it. So
oh my gosh, that's
kind of
cool.
fun that we can all be in the credits together.
Yeah, that's cool. Paul, just to answer your question from a while back, you were asking about any Easter eggs in Fresco. We don't have any Easter eggs, but I do want to tell you about a super cool thing that you should keep your eye on. Brian, can you go to the settings icon?
Yes, here I am.
At the top, and then go down to app settings. There's a tab at the very bottom called experimental. It's at the...
Oh, experimental.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you go to that, if you turn that on, you can hold, if you draw and hold for a straight line.
Love that.
There's going to be a lot more stuff coming to that section, so keep your eye on that section. That's where we're going to
Good to know.
Sneak test features that are coming.
So check this out. So this is if I draw a line, but then hold it, it will...
It
should.
Oh, so what? Since it was a curve, so we're working to improve it.
Got it.
But what we try to do is approximate what you're actually trying to do.
So if I do more of a deliberate straight, there you go. And then look, you can stretch it to the length that you need. That's awesome. But you know what else I really love? Is this ruler thing. Awesome. This is a ruler that pops up just as a template. You set it at any angle. I'm going to make a new layer so I don't mess anything up. But then it draws a straight line according to that ruler, and then you can move it. And this is really good for like laying down perspective grids.
Yeah, and I will say perspective grids and guides are coming as well.
Even better.
Yeah.
But that's cheating. Use a ruler. So that's great. I really like the ruler thing. I'm going to do one last step on here.
Cool.
And this is something that I do in my real watercolors as well.
All right.
And that's where I go and on top of the color, I do a colored pencil pass. And this just gives the drawing a little bit more warmth and almost a little bit more whimsy.
Okay.
That you can see that. So I'm going to try to find a colored pencil type, and this might be in the ones that I downloaded. Any kind of toothy pencil will do.
I know Kyle has some
Yeah.
pencils.
Actually, I think the soft one will work. So I'm going to go to my favorites and pick that one. And then what I'll do is just go grab like a red color here and just kind of warm up certain areas.
That's a really great tip. I would have never.
Right?
Never thought to
It's
do
something that just, again, takes the curse off of a digital piece of art and also helps clean up some of your edges.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like I'm shading with colored pencils. And I'll go and like get like a brown
Gotcha.
for this area.
Oh, so it looks like I think you're on the pre-release version of Fresco.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, I think that we just gave a sneaky clue about what's going to be in the next
Uh-oh.
release. That's
Oh,
okay.
no, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's totally fine. We're trying to be pretty open about what's coming since we know that there's a lot of features that people are wanting. So
Right.
totally fine. We love sneaking features on here.
There you go. You're welcome, Internet. But this works really well for like, just adding a little bit more chrome and like metallic look.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it really helps.
Yeah, it's one of those things you feel it more than you see it.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of give a once over to the whole thing.
Very nice. Now you turned up your size pretty high. It looks like it's at 22.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's just so I can get the benefit of the grain.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the pressure sensitivity.
Yeah, that's the really nice thing about the iPad and the pencil is like the pressure sensitivity is super high. And if you don't like the pressure sensitivity that's set by default in Fresco, you can actually go change it. And again, that's in app settings, and there's sort of a slider with tick marks where you can adjust the pressure to be whatever you like it to be.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the fact that this is powered gives it a little more sensitivity.
Yeah.
Because I found that sometimes when I go back to like another tablet that's not this way, it doesn't feel as sensitive.
Yeah, the newest iPad was really a game changer.
Yeah.
For sure. I'd say one thing that I do miss, I have to say, is hover. Like when you like in Photoshop or like when you're drawing with the Cintiq, you can see where you're gonna hit before, and you can see the outline of the brush. And with the iPad, you can't do that because there's no hover.
Yeah, that's true. And here you can see I'm adding just a little bit more form to it.
Oh, thank you, Paul. I said I thought Photoshop for iPad would kill Fresco, but it stands out on its own.
Oh, yeah.
That's very sweet of you.
That's very
Thank
nice
you.
to say.
Yeah.
And I have to agree. I mean, I'm going to grab this if I want to draw something.
Yeah. Well, and I do have to say from a background perspective, it was really intentional that we, when I got the challenge to say, hey, go design a dedicated drawing app. What I did is we sort of looked across all of the drawing and painting that happens across all of the Adobe apps. Like people, I don't know if some of you in the chat may be doing this or used to do it, but people used to draw in Flash.
Yes,
people draw in Illustrator. People draw in Photoshop. People draw everywhere, and so we're kind of just looking across, again, insider info. Like we're kind of looking across all of the drawing that happens at Adobe and saying like, hey, how can we make
Yeah.
Fresco completely 100% dedicated
Right,
to
right.
drawing and painting and make it easy. You know,
Wow.
we don't want you to have a steep learning curve to start drawing.
Yeah, I'd say you've achieved it because it does feel like I have all my stuff that I would have at my desk right here.
Yeah, we
so.
wanted people to open it and say, "Oh, this feels like a simpler version of Photoshop, or this feels like a simpler
Yes.
version of Illustrator." So one last question from Maritza. What types of tools and resources would you suggest for my son?
Oh, I would say just go to like the children's book section of a bookstore and let him pick out the picture books that he likes.
Cool.
And because that's where I learned from originally, was like the books that were on my shelf, and that's where I found all my early inspiration. So, maybe before the holidays, let him go and pick.
Oh, that's a great suggestion.
What's, because it might surprise you, because there's lots of different styles out there. And there's an artist called Graham Bass who did these super detailed illustrated books called Animalia. And you should look that one up because that's one I remember.
Graham Bass?
Graham Bass, and it's it's a funky spelling. Look up Animalia picture book and you'll see this. And they're incredible. And I remember it's my early inspiration was like looking at that book. And like,
cool.
Oh, look at all the details.
Yeah.
That and the Richard Scarry Busy World. Because that stuff is all about like the details. It's very much into details, which I think got me into layout.
Yeah,
It's all about
for
background. So, have him go around and see what speaks to him.
Very cool. I want to answer a couple quick questions. Several people have asked if Fresco is available on anything else than the iPad, and it is available on Windows. So if you have a
Nice.
Surface Studio, which is the giant
Right.
computer, if you have a Surface Pro, it's also available on the Wacom Mobile Studio Pro 13 and 16 inch, and we'll be coming to more devices soon. But if you do have one of those devices, you can get Fresco there. And we've got 1 minute and 45 seconds until our
man.
challenge. I see there's a lot of stuff coming in.
Make it good.
Yep. See what people can remove from their photo
Right.
with Photoshop or Lightroom. Which really, that's a pretty easy one to do with all the crazy
Oh my
technology
gosh.
and tools
Yeah.
that are in Photoshop today.
Yeah, that context fill I use a lot actually.
Yeah.
Because sometimes in storyboards you'll have to take VizDev art and put it into the background, but the VizDev art isn't made for your shot. And so I remember, shout out to Jason Shire, who's our awesome art director on a movie I'm working on now. I'd take some of his art and I needed to add more trees. And he was the one who showed me about context fill.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's
I'll be
super
taking
cool.
this now.
Yep. Fresco is not available on the Mac yet. We're focusing on touch and stylus.
Yeah.
So since the Mac isn't touch yet, I guess.
I'm so surprised. Especially with their Apple Pencil being so strong, I'm surprised that their, iMac isn't a drawing screen.
Yeah, totally. And Paloma's asking, how long will Fresco stay free? Forever. Like 90% of Fresco is free. You have access to all of the drawing features. We're going to be making a few more things free with the app very soon. But there are a very, very few features, not many at all, that if you want to if you're really focused on sort of like pro workflows that you can pay for. But otherwise it's 100% free to use forever.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure it was that everyone could draw.
Yeah,
Because we don't say starving artist
Right,
without a reason, and so we wanted to make sure that
That's right.
Fresco was available to anyone who wanted to draw.
And good for kids too, right?
Yeah, totally.
If they're lucky enough to have access to iPad or anything like that, this is a great way. And for you parents out there, a very inexpensive way, because you're not having, and clean.
Yeah.
So lots of benefits to doing the digital stuff.
No cleaning paint off the carpet or the
Right.
couch or anything else.
Right. So yeah, now I'm just going through.
Cool.
Warming up.
It
yes.
looks like we are ready for design feedback.
Oh man, here we go.
All right.
Awesome.
So people are removing stuff. I wonder if I can zoom in so we can see these a little bit better. All right. So people, I wonder if we should play like what did they remove?
Yeah, right? That could be the game, right?
It looks like this one is, do you see it?
Look at the skyline on the bottom one. See, there's like tree line.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign that you couldn't even tell what was missing.
Yeah, that's really good. There's like a city in the background.
Yes.
This is nice. I like how this person bumped up the colors and played with the contrast.
Yes. And made the image about one thing, right? Like there's a clear focal point here, and that red really pops now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really nice. Ooh, this is a fun one.
Whoa.
This is mosaic stairs. Let's see. What was removed before and after?
Okay, this is a fun game.
I don't know. I'm struggling on this one.
I am too.
I mean, the colors look a lot nicer. And
Yeah,
they pop
right.
a
You
little
can
bit
tell
more.
it's been retouched in a nice way. Can we go any closer?
I don't know.
Can you click on?
Oh, no.
Oh. Please hold.
I'm not. Oh, yeah, there we go.
There
I can
you
click
go.
on it. I'm not seeing anything removed,
No.
but the stairs really pop in this
Yeah,
one now.
so
Which is
nicely
good
tuned.
call. Yeah. All right. This is better now that I know I can open it up.
Right.
Again, before and after. The sky, it looks like the sky was lightened.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, I think this is an interesting photo. I actually kind of like the before, how
Yes.
the contrast and things are sort of
Yep.
like fade. It feels a little bit more mysterious to me.
And the silhouette value of
Mm-hmm.
it all is really kind of nice.
I thought I saw one bumping at the bottom, maybe not. All right, here's another one. Oh, so now this is a good example of it being lightened.
Right.
I really like that.
And to its benefit, right? Yeah, because the feature here, I always like to say one image, one story. And so definitely the story here, the waterfall, versus the other one where it felt like the story was the sunset.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
this is great.
Yeah. Really, like, sort of, that's a really good telling the story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she did, or that person just did say adjust color. So
okay.
yeah.
Good to know. That's helpful. Okay, so this is, so that's the color. So this is the before, and then this is the after.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh. I really like how you can see all the texture in the sky.
Yes, and it's still balanced. Even though they brought texture up in the foreground, it's still, this has a very kind of cinematic, Christopher Nolan quality almost. Really nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. All right. So removing objects. I removed foreground and background items to help it stand out more. So here's the original. So it looks like that's a cool.
That is neat.
I wonder what that is. It's like a little piece of work. It's kind of like who was the guy that did Landworks?
Yeah,
Totally
Andrew
blanking on his name.
Goldworthy, was it him?
I don't remember. All right, so I'm already starting to see a few things that were removed.
Okay.
It looks like we've got some tree stumps
Yeah,
here
right.
that were removed.
Right.
I'm kind of curious why the artist didn't remove
The sign.
the sign.
Right.
But maybe that was intentional, so we knew who the artist
Right,
was.
because you still want to give credit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see either removing that sign or cropping your photo to the top of the sign, right? So
Yeah.
you just have that really stark balance, because even if you use your hand to cover it up, it's like you get a nice contrast between the organic and the arranged.
Yeah.
But nice removals.
Oh,
yeah, smart.
That's a really good one.
Yep.
So this
Smart.
one is cool. This really shows you the power of the content aware fill. Like
Yep,
I would never ever guess anything was removed from
Right.
that. And gorgeous shot too.
Yeah, incredible.
It's amazing how
Does it say where it is?
it was a great shot before, but there's all this stuff in the way.
And I think that speaks to, your vision as a photographer, of being able to see the potential in an image, even if it's not quite there yet. So it's very sophisticated to remove the posts like that. It's really great.
Very cool. Oh, it looks like the artist who talked about the land or the outdoor
Livingston,
exhibition.
Montana.
Yeah,
Nice.
wanted to give credit to the artist.
Yeah.
So totally makes sense.
Hey, appreciate that too.
Yeah. So this one looks like a color adjust. It's interesting. I think I maybe like this. The sky looks a little too blue because it was such a dark day. Like maybe like increasing the contrast or treating sort of like, I love the separation between the land and the sky.
Yes.
But maybe treating them as two separate looks like maybe the color change was applied to the whole photo versus maybe like treating them as two separate.
Yeah, a little more selective.
Oh no, and also remove object.
That little thing, yep, right there. Yeah. Nice.
That's a good one.
Like the composition though.
Ooh.
Oh, there you go.
Before, with all the
Yeah.
umbrellas, which I actually still kind of enjoy.
As a graphic element, it's cool.
It kind of helps tell a story.
Right.
But this is super dramatic.
Yeah, look at that.
Very nice. You can't even tell.
No, and to remove the shadows even, right?
Yeah.
So good.
I wanna see if I can. I can't tell anything.
No.
Like maybe
Maybe that little
that
good, but
section. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, there's no way. Nice
No.
job.
yeah. I love
Nice
the
job,
greens
Sharon.
in that water too.
Yeah, that's really great.
Oh, nice.
Okay, is this one? Do we? Oh,
Yeah, little post.
Yep. So we've got that little post
Get
there.
that guy out of there. we don't want him.
A nice job. Super. I love that. It looks
Yeah.
like there's a bunch of sharpness added to it. The sky
The
pops.
sky. And I love how the sky blue is echoes the train blue.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah, totally.
Great perspective too.
Nice job. Okay. So, I actually warped it a bit and tried to straighten out the perspective. So, I'm trying to figure out. I think this is the first one.
Okay.
I think. Original? Yeah. Okay,
Oh,
so it
yeah,
looks like
there
the
you go.
artist attempted to sort of straighten out the car because it was looking a little bit bulbous because of the perspective.
Right.
Lighten it up for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Looks like we've got some Tesla fans.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know,
I think that was the demo, right? Or
yeah.
The demo image.
Yeah, I did this one as Terry did his. So Terry, who was on before, he's a big Tesla fan.
Oh, great.
So I think that was a nod to him.
Nice.
Okay, so this goes back to yesterday. I think it was the challenge was to use the text tool.
Oh, okay.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, I like to use
Sort of
the image.
overlaying.
Yeah. It's great. Great photo too.
It's like a postcard.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've got another before and after. So this is before.
Right.
It looks like a very quaint
Doesn't it?
European area.
Yeah,
And
Mediterranean.
after, yeah,
yeah.
Mediterranean.
Yeah, I like
I
the
wonder if
after.
there's anything that was removed or not. I think one thing I love the color change. I think one thing on this one I've done is maybe try to like straighten the photo a little bit.
Yeah, right. That'd be good. And maybe even sharpen it a little more just to get some of
Yeah.
that chipping paint texture.
All right, so this one played with brightness, contrast, and a gradient map adjustment, and a spot of masking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so good.
That helped a lot.
Mm-hmm. Great composition,
Seagulls,
too.
yeah. Curves and manual spot removal. So this was the original. Now this is interesting because this is a totally different take on the one that we saw earlier. It's the same image. I
right,
think
same
some of
image.
them are
Oh,
giving.
using stock.
I think they're given some sample images
Yeah,
that they can use. So this is a totally different take, and this is what I love about sort of opinion. You know, like
Yes.
giving sort of your sort of viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
It can tell a totally different story based on how it's edited.
Completely. Yeah, this is a little more fantasy, right? Mm-hmm. With the broader.
Voodoo Val says, that reminds me of the beach in Fear of the Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, something bad's going down there.
Yep. We've got some more seagulls. Yeah, I think there was a couple images that they were given.
Yeah, cool.
Nice job on lightening it up.
Uh-huh.
All right. Before and after.
Great.
Is this the before or that? Oh, no. This is definitely the before.
Mm-hmm.
And the after. Interesting. I don't know. I'm assuming this is the same challenge. I'm kind of curious about the decision to crop, like not crop that.
Right.
It feels like.
Because that almost feels like it's added on because the
Yeah.
focus on it is strange. It makes it look like a miniature almost.
Yeah,
But yeah, I would crop that
that's
fence out.
gorgeous. Yeah,
Really nice improvements though.
for sure. All right. So I don't think this is just an after. I don't think we have a before on this one.
Right. So
A lot of interesting architecture
yeah.
shots. Oh, this is a good one. So this is the before,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is the after.
Oh, wow. Hey, Voodoo Valor looks like Starkiller Base. That's awesome. Very striking.
Yeah.
Almost like a volcanic.
Oh, interesting. So they did color adjustment in Lightroom and in Photoshop. So it's interesting how they got two different.
Yeah,
I think I'm actually a little bit more drawn to the one in Photoshop.
Uh-huh.
All right. A couple more again. That
Oh,
same
there you go. Yep.
Walking Dead beach. Very nice. It is super cool to see everyone's take on it. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. It's a super short picture, probably with a drone.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting because, yeah, it feels like super wide lens too, right?
Mm-hmm. It's really fun to see how everyone color adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm not for sure which one
I think that first one's the original.
original. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like the cooler tone. It feels like fall.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like I think the original one is
Right,
interesting, but it feels
yes.
like too much sepia.
Yeah,
tone.
right.
Yeah. Cool. And it's adding some text.
You're right, Val.
Nice
It's also
job.
like Rogue One.
Yeah. Oh, so this is someone playing with reduced noise.
Oh, wow.
That's actually quite impressive.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wow.
Very nice. So I think we're on to a different challenge from the other day, but nice job, everyone. That
Yeah,
looks
great
really
job.
great.
Hooray.
Yay.
Amazing.
Thanks for participating. Just as a reminder, tomorrow we're going to be doing portfolio reviews, which
Oh,
I'm
cool.
curious to see
Yeah.
what that will be. So be sure to check back in when we're doing those.
Yeah. I'm really eager to see what you guys are working on and help you craft something that can really get you hired.
Yeah.
Because there's some discrepancies out there on what people think studios want to see
Right.
and what studios really want to see.
Yeah, so be sure to check back in tomorrow. We still have like 10 more minutes though.
Yeah, so let's draw something else, huh?
Yeah, we got some, you said you were taking requests.
Yeah, we got...
Or do we want to do perspective, something with perspective?
well, something with perspective would be good. Yeah, let's do that. Actually, let's do this. Yeah, we'll do a quick perspective thing because I want to show you how you can treat perspective. Saving document, please hold. Treat perspective and building drawing like you would treat figure drawing.
Ooh.
Because I think sometimes if you're just going straight up perspective drawing, it can feel sterile and cold. So I'm going to draw the same way, that same Ouija board drawing. My favorites.
It's interesting, you were saying that, what did you say, perspective guides is cheating.
Yeah.
There's an industrial designer, his name is Spencer Nugent.
Uh-huh.
He's based out of Salt Lake City, I believe, and he taught a class at Adobe Max, which was just a couple weeks ago.
Yes, right.
And he, industrial designers, everything is about perspective, but he said that he never uses perspective guides for drawing because he likes it, similar to what you said, he's like,
Yeah.
he lets his sort of like eyes determine their perspective
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than being so sterile about,
Right.
about adhering to it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to do like some sort of alien desert planet building.
When we said we were taking requests,
Oh.
everyone wants Kylo Ren.
Okay. I'll do a quick one. Quick little Kylo. So little Kylo is a character that I came up with, which was kind of mashing up Calvin and Hobbes with Star Wars.
Yeah, I've
And
seen this on your some
yeah,
of your
it's
stuff.
kind of what like truly went viral because people were like going nuts for it. And
Because everyone loves Calvin and Hobbes and everyone loves Star Wars. So great mashup.
So there you go, together at last. But I think what really resonated was the fact that Kylo is so much like Calvin, the ultimate problem child of the galaxy. And that how hard it must have been for Han and Leia to have to raise him. So like it actually kind of grew and overlaid into this whole other thing, to where even the Prime Minister of Canada commissioned a drawing for me
No way.
Through Etsy. So that was a funny
Through Etsy.
Yeah. Jenny, my wife.
No worries, I'm
Right.
the Prime Minister.
Yeah. It was through the office of the Prime Minister, and they're like, my boss really likes your work, and he wants you to draw his family in that style. And I just thought
Oh
middle
my gosh.
management boss.
Yeah.
I didn't realize big boss. Yeah, 2015 was a crazy year on
That's
social
so
media
awesome.
for me regarding little Kylo.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. So
I think you made Val's day.
there he is. And he's going to say, hi, Val.
Take a screenshot of that one, Val.
Yeah, right. So you can see, just going back to the building. In fact, speaking of portfolios, and we can talk about this more tomorrow, but I had gone on a school trip to Ireland. My mom's high school band, which is the high school I went to, I got invited to perform in Ireland. And so I took a sketchbook with me, and my kind of personal challenge was it was a 7-day trip, and I was going to fill the sketchbook in 7 days.
Oh my gosh.
And so I did, and I drew cathedrals and buildings and just all the stuff around Ireland. And at the last minute, I submitted that alongside my curated portfolio to Disney. And when I started my first day there and met the guy who hired me, he said that my sketchbook was the reason I got hired, not my portfolio, because he saw all my thought process. He was able to see my passion and that sort of thing. So sketching from real life is super important.
Yep.
And the only reason I'm able to kind of come up with designs on the fly is because I've built like an internal library of shapes and languages, so that I can kind of bust this stuff out, even if it's just make believe, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is gold.
So
I feel bad for the people who had to drop off.
Oh.
That's
well,
great
this will
advice.
stay online, right?
Yeah, it will. It will
So
stay online.
We'll be able to, but yeah, you definitely want to be thinking about all that stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then in addition to that, your basic design principles of like small, medium, and large, right? So we have our large shape, our medium shape, and a small shape. And we're going to do that on every granular level, even down to the little like pots in the marketplace, right?
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So like you keep that rhythm going, and maybe we'll put a couple like
And
little,
is that something you think about consciously?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like,
Because I know sometimes there's things that like they're design principles, but you kind of, for myself personally, like I don't
Yeah.
always think about it. I just tend to like it's become habit.
well, yeah, it's more that.
Yeah.
That's correct. The more you do it, the less you have to think about it, and
You're
it just
right.
kind of comes out naturally. But there is a little bit of running commentary when I'm in this phase, that I try to just keep reminding myself of. And then what you can do, so now that you have like your rough sketch done, just like you saw me do before, I'm going to lower the opacity, bring in a new layer, and maybe here is where I would start laying in,
Drawing in
based on my
perspective.
quick sketch,
Yeah.
where again, the drawing has told me what the perspective needs to be. And if we had more than 12 minutes, you could see how you could get this down to super refined perspective, and to where you're also like figuring out the thicknesses of everything. Because that's one thing too. If you want one quick tip that will separate your drawing skill and that a professional will see right away, is to remember that everything you draw has a thickness. Right? Everything, even like a fingernail, has a thickness to where the finger is. A lot of times, more junior artists will just draw details on top as if they're painted on versus, doing something like this where it's the finger, but then the nail is actually going to sit on top and be a little bit over and then kind of go into the skin there. Or if you're drawing fabric, right?
Which is the hard one.
Right. Some people will just draw a fabric like this, right? Where it feels like a piece of paper. But then you got to think like, oh, is the fabric made out of wool? Because if it is, it's probably going to have a little thickness to it.
Yeah.
Right? Like that.
Yep.
Again, it's the same drawing, but someone who's thinking on this level is going to be hired more than someone who's just doing that. And then also you can take that and like, okay, if this is wool, I'm going to let the line that's describing it be a little chunkier too, and a little more broken up. So that you start putting this sort of stuff in your drawing and everything starts to elevate. So now that's like two different pieces of fabric. This is maybe silk, right? Versus versus a more wool. And you can go in and scuff it up a little bit.
This is amazing. I mean, the irony is we just looked at before and after photos, but like I feel like this is sort of like before and after, sort of like understanding like what really makes a drawing and what really gives it character and brings it to life. Yeah,
and we can do more of this sort of stuff tomorrow too, especially if we're looking at portfolios. We can do examples and that sort of thing. So I encourage you guys to check us out tomorrow as well.
Yeah, we've got like a couple minutes left. I want to say definitely come check us out tomorrow. We're going to be doing portfolio reviews. Brian and I will be here once again. Probably do a new drawing.
Yep.
TBD.
TBD. We'll figure out which one to draw
And I
next.
believe that we're going to be grabbing the time lapse.
Yes, that's right.
From your Victorian auto drawing today. So look for that. We'll be posting it somewhere online. I'm not for sure exactly where, but we can tell you tomorrow where it's posted.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned for the next live stream, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much.